Credit Union is proud to sponsor these SBU calls. I, I would like to take a second to explain why and what Noble Credit Union's values are and how we might be able to partner with some of the people on this call. Um, According to recent surveys, there were multiples, one done by Bank of America and a big one done by PwC. Over 60% of full-time employees are stressed about their finances in America. And over half, at 57%, said that it was the top stressor in their life. And you guys can probably imagine how, with inflation and other financial stressors being, at an all-time high right now, that would be something that you guys can see, not just in the numbers, but also in the faces around you. And so the question is, what can employers do to help? I mean, we have things like health insurance that employers regularly offer to help their employees deal with health-related problems that may keep them out of work. Well, what can you do with financial problems? And there are things that employers can do to help. Things like normalizing conversations about financial wellness in the workplace. Things like offering very targeted benefits that help people with financial wellness, and then communicating about those benefits frequently. A lot of the benefits that businesses can offer to help with this problem, they cost money. They are things that you have to go out and research, things like supplemental disability insurance or life insurance, retirement matching, those kinds of things. But there is something that every employer can offer to their employees that will help with this financial problem, and that would be financial education through somebody like a credit union partner. And that's Noble Credit Union's heart. That's what we are in it for. We care deeply about the financial education of our community that we serve. And if anybody wants to partner with Noble Credit Union, I'm going to go ahead and put an email address in the comments, and feel free to reach out to me. We would be happy to discuss what we may be able to do to come alongside the benefits that you already have. We would love to start that conversation. So I'll turn it back over to you. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Daryl. We do appreciate that. And I think that you probably all heard that we are actually recording this webinar. So it will be up on our website after this. So for anyone that was not able to join us today, this valuable information will be able to get out to them as well. So we're definitely excited to be able to share this with many more people outside this call. So, and again, Daryl, thank you. I know you were traveling. So well, we are excited. We have a lot of experts on this call today to really share their words of wisdom. So we appreciate you really taking the time out of your day today in doing this presentation for us. For all of you that are on the call, though, please put your questions in the Q&A at the bottom, and we'll be able to get through those as we go along today. So we have three great speakers. Actually, we have a few more than three, but three separate people that are joining us today. Lieutenant Brian Valles, thank you so much from Fresno Police Department. We're excited to have your expertise on. We also have David Hoffman from Hoffman Security join us and share some words of wisdom, as well as Jason Guile from CIS Security and Guile Enterprises, with two other representatives, Josh Gonzalez and Ross Ruona. I hope I pronounced that right. Great. Thank you so much for all of you joining us. So first off, we're going to send it over to Lieutenant Valles. And Lieutenant, if you can share the screen, you have the capability. If you would like us to do it, we can do that as well. It's up to you.
If you could do it, it might make it a little bit easier, since I don't want to fumble around with the computer since I have so many screens up. But hey, thanks everyone for having me today. My name is Brian Valles. I'm a lieutenant here with the Fresno Police Department. I kind of came on as an expert in essentially on how we use surveillance footage and how important video is to police investigations. I've been with the agency going on my 27th year. I've actually been here for 26, going on my 27th. I'm a lieutenant now, but coming up the ranks, I worked in several investigation assignments where video was essential. I was a homicide investigator for 6 years, I supervised and worked in robbery details where surveillance video was paramount in assisting us in investigations and identification of suspects, creating timelines, etc. So surveillance video footage to law enforcement is essential. Today, I just want to talk to you quick about how we maximize the use of surveillance footage here in the agency. In my experience, I'm also have been responsible the last 2 years in the patrol administration as lieutenant on rebuilding our real-time information center. And what that is it's a room where we stream video footage primarily from policing cameras, but we have new technology partners where we've added cameras. We have about 100 video feeds throughout the city of Fresno. We also have 100 license plate reader feeds, 100 plus license plate reader feeds, where we're able to get information related to vehicles that are involved in criminal activity, vehicles that may be part of an Amber Alert, or some other form of issue with that vehicle, not necessarily related to crime, but can help us locate potential victims, any type of incidents that are occurring in the city of Fresno. So real quick, because I know I only have 10 minutes, I just want to point out 3 important points on how law enforcement leverages surveillance footage to enhance our investigations. You know, I think these are critical in working with technology partners when you think about things like placement of video in and around your businesses on the best places to put it that can assist law enforcement. But number 1 is evidence collection. Surveillance footage is a crucial piece of evidence in any type of investigation when it's available. And what it does is with that crucial footage, it serves as evidence, and it can help establish and document events, timelines, and if it's good video, can really give us the distinguishing features on individuals down to simple things like tattoos on hands, specific type of clothing, and robbery investigations in particular. A lot of times people's faces are concealed, especially since 2020 and COVID and masking. We're able to use surveillance footage to identify individuals or assist in identification on distinguishing marks on their person that they may have. So that leads us into number 2, identifying suspects. Images captured by security cameras can be used to identify suspects and witnesses. It aids law enforcement in creating accurate descriptions, profiles, individuals involved in crime. So what this is it's more along the lines of timely identification. If we have access to that video in a timely manner, we put out things called Be on the Lookouts, which are internal documents to our officers. We found that a lot of individuals who are involved in criminal activity, a lot of times it's the same person, especially if it's in a robbery series. A few individuals may be involved in multiple incidents. If we put these out, and you'd be surprised how many times we get identifications by officers almost immediately as soon as that email is sent out with that Be on the Lookout. So it's very important in identifying suspects. And then crime prevention. When I talk about crime prevention, security cameras themselves aren't necessarily going to assist in preventing the crime. But when a violator or potential individual notices that there may be security cameras, if we are able to back that up with signage indicating that these cameras are being monitored on a 24-hour basis, or something as simple as indicating that there are cameras inside the store, it may make that individual think twice about entering and committing a crime in that store. Because a lot of times, like I said, individuals who are involved in these type of incidents, a lot of times it's the same individual that may be committing these crimes throughout the city. So I really think these 3 points are the evidence collection, identifying suspects, and crime prevention. That's how it really assists us in leveraging that footage to assist businesses and keeping them from being reoffended if it's the same individual, or helping us identify and pass that on to the DA's office for prosecution of these individuals. If they're habitual, hopefully they get incarceration time to prevent them from victimizing that business again. We do have partners in the city, technological partners that are coming on that allow us things like adding devices to pre-existing video camera systems that have a good Wi-Fi connection at a very, very minimal cost to that business, that allow them to stream their footage directly into our real-time center. Not only the real-time center, but officers and detectives on the street have access to this because it's placed under one software type of platform, which gives not only individuals in a real-time center access to that video footage or information, but it also allows detectives in the field to access it immediately as well. So with the time that I have, I think that's some of the most important things as far as law enforcement's role in gathering surveillance footage and video. And I'll leave it open to any questions at the end of all the presentations, if there are any, to see if I can answer them.
Yeah, just one question because we have a couple minutes. Are there any rules or laws that businesses need to be aware of when it comes to security cameras, as far as privacy or anything like that?
Everything that's open to the public, there really is no expectation of privacy. If I would think more along the lines of directing it right into somebody's living room, things of that nature. But if it's their business, they have the right to identify and place video cameras wherever they want, with the exception of, I would say, a bathroom, because there is expectation of privacy in bathrooms. But anywhere that there would be that expectation of privacy is probably a place that they don't want to put it. But otherwise, if it's their business, they can place it wherever they want. My other slide kind of gives a good idea of what we like covered in law enforcement. If you want to slip it over or move it to the third slide. So it's kind of an example of what does good footage look like. That's kind of the way I titled it. If you're a business owner, for law enforcement purposes, what we really like is entrance and exit points, and anywhere you have access to register or employees where somebody may desire cash from there, cigarettes, et cetera, et cetera. Those are high valued items. So I think those are great places to start, especially if we are on a budget and working with a security company. It's try to get them to place your surveillance footage in the place that's most usable, or the location that may be most usable to law enforcement. As a real quick example, this is an example of a video stream that we have from a nearby business where we have those streaming devices that we have access to immediately upon an incident occurring. But these are some of the best locations I feel where business owners can place their cameras: front door, exit, entrance, and areas of their cash registers, especially if they are on a budget and there's only a few cameras that you can afford. I think these are the best locations that will assist not only prevention in your location, but also assist us in the identification, apprehension, and prosecution of those individuals who may be involved in crimes in and around your businesses.
Yeah, that's definitely very helpful. Are there any other tips as far as, like, are there any common mistakes that you see business owners make, that besides maybe the camera placement, that you could share?
The only real problem that we run into in the police department, and it's not necessarily a problem, it's more of a security measure for a business owner, is a lot of business owners are the only ones that have access to their surveillance footage to download it. And we have to wake them up at night. We have to call them late at night. As long as they're running that video footage where it doesn't roll over, if they can't afford the storage component of it more than 48 hours. Because if something happens on a Friday and someone's not available till Monday, and the video is going to record over itself, we're going to lose that evidence. So I would say the biggest thing is make sure, if it's affordable, because I know storage is expensive, if you could keep it for at least a week, that being 7 days, that video footage, if you can have that storage time, that way gives an investigator time to gather that footage and use it to assist and identify individuals who may be responsible for incidents that occur at their businesses.
Okay. And then last question for now. Are there any other technologies that you see businesses using besides cameras that are assisting with security for their business?
I think that lighting is paramount. If you have good lighting at the front of your store, it's going to create a better environment for individuals who know that they may be seen on security footage. I really like, I think since COVID's come around, and one thing that I've seen, I think that's beneficial, is when people had the shields in front of their registers or their counters. I think that's really prevented individuals from jumping over a counter, because everything when someone's committing a crime, it's all based on time. They want to get in, they want to get out. So I like that barrier. I think it's really slowed down incidents that occur at stores if you do still have it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Are there in any, actually one more. Are there any tips you would give to a home business?
No, more of the same. I think
Okay.
surveillance footage is essential, or surveillance systems are essential to assist in uh, any type of incident that may occur, and lighting. And they really have to pay attention to who their clientele is if they have somebody coming to their home to conduct business as well. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And again, if there are any additional questions, please put them in the Q&A at the bottom and we'll address them at the end as well. So thank you, Lieutenant. We appreciate you speaking to us. Next, we have David Hoffman from Hoffman Security.
All right. Thank you, Gina. Let me go ahead and attempt to share my screen here. Okay. Are you able to see the two cameras and the title slide there?
We have it. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, thank you very much for having me as part of this. My name is David Hoffman with Hoffman Security. Uh, and basically, we're just going to talk a little bit about cameras and kind of at a 50,000 foot level and then drill down. So very briefly about our company, we started in 79 up in Merced by my father, who was an Air Force pilot. Kind of started this as literally out of the garage. We built an addition onto the garage and have since grown it into 3 separate branches in Atwater, Fresno, and Napa, and probably have about 55, 56 employees now. Locally owned, which is great because all of our employees live here, work here, much like Jason with Valley Alarm and his businesses. The great thing about working with a local company as opposed to some of the national alarm companies is a large chunk of their money goes to other states, and keeping things in the local economy helps. And obviously, with our support of the chamber and other local organizations, it's great. We do run our own call center, and one of the things that we've always prided ourselves on is having the phone answered by a live person. A lot of the large national companies have gone to call distributors where you press one to get to two, and oftentimes that can take you several minutes before you actually reach a live person. And if you're dealing with a life or death situation, that's not a great thing. So we focus our business on security systems, firearms, access control, and then of course security cameras, which we're going to talk about today. And if you have any questions, we're more than willing to come out and take a look, give you an estimate, give you advice beyond just doing stuff that we can help with, i.e., trimming back bushes and making sure you have proper lighting around your house or your business. Just a lot of those things that our security consultants are trained on. So basically, why security cameras? What's the main reason for it? We kind of see them all a lot. They're certainly becoming more and more ubiquitous throughout society. Big thing to know is that managers and business owners, if you're in your own business, you got a lot of things going on. There's going to be multiple things happening at the same time, and you really want to make sure you have the best ability to keep track of what's going on in your business. A lot of businesses are targets for theft, both internal and external. So most people think, when it comes to theft, it's just the shoplifting if you own a business or something of that nature. But the reality is, I think it's something close to 50% of your theft occurs from internal. So employees that kind of think the business is more their business than it is the business owner's business. So just a stat that I found from the U.S. Chamber, they estimate that 60% of small businesses will experience theft, and things are expensive, like Lieutenant had mentioned. Local companies don't always have the budget that a large national company could do, say a Best Buy or Costco or something like that puts super high end cameras in all of their locations and they're paid for by corporate. You have to be a little more cost conscious when you're the one writing all the checks to make sure you meet the bottom line at the end of the month. And that's where working with a local company like us or like Valley, we can certainly work with you with your budget and find out how to get you the most bang for the buck. So in addition to keep for a business owner to keep an eye on their stuff, it's also keeping your employees safe, making sure that that the people that come into your business do know that they're being watched, and then ultimately having the ability as a manager or a business owner to actually take a vacation. I just personally got back from Florida and I was gone for 2 weeks, but I was able to check in on both my locations remotely. through my web app or through my app on my phone. And it's even though you're not there, you still have the ability to keep an eye on things. So for those business owners that may or may not have taken a vacation in years, it's because they're afraid of what's going to happen when they're not there. These things can, in addition to from a theft perspective, can also help them from a business management perspective as well. So one thing we've learned in this industry is that people will do more good and less bad when they think they're being watched. A lot of times I'll come to customer locations and I'll ask them about cameras. Like, oh, that's a dummy camera. I just put it up there so people think they're being recorded. While those can tend to serve a purpose, the reality is ultimately something is going to happen that you're going to wish you had an actual working camera. So that's where we can come in and help you with that. Security cameras have definitely changed over the years. And just to kind of briefly touch on that, if you think back to the 70s and 80s and even early 90s, all the security cameras were what we call analog technology. And that was basically using a coaxial cable, similar to your old cable system that you'd have run to all your TVs in your house. Very low resolution on those things. I don't know if you've ever seen some of the old video footage from America's Most Wanted or things like that. It was super grainy footage, always recorded onto videotapes that kept getting recorded over and over and over again. And every time you recorded over it, the quality got even worse. So when you had terrible quality to start with, and then it keeps getting worse, but it did work decently for decades. It was certainly better than nothing, which is kind of our going thing with when it comes to cameras, is having anything is better than having nothing. And then as you're able to upgrade to higher quality technology, certainly, consider that as an investment for you. After analog came digital cameras, and that's basically when we started replacing VCRs with actual computer hard drives. So there are such things as DVRs, which are digital video recorders, and NVRs, which are network video recorders. So it's just a fancy way of saying it's recording to a disk, and it's recording in zeros and ones rather than recording to a piece of tape that's going to degrade over time. And so we also were able to replace those lower resolution cameras with high resolution, including, we went up to 1080p when that was the thing, and then 4K, which is kind of, the new gold standard when it comes to that. But we certainly have cameras that are able to go well beyond 4K in terms of image resolution. So you're able to put a camera in one location and see quite far away, a quite wide picture. And then ultimately, when you zoom in, you're able to see great detail. So that's fantastic as well. Cloud-based cameras, which have also become quite popular these days, the Nest, certainly Ring video cameras, Arlo, Xfinity uses some. They're a consumer-grade camera where basically they're using Wi-Fi technology to communicate. They do have to have power, and in some cases, the Blink cameras, I believe, use batteries and can give you, a few months on a battery. They are cheaper to deploy to your location. Again, it's certainly better than nothing. Two main challenges I've seen is that it is only recording in clips. So you get small clips, so you're not necessarily able to get activity prior to that or post those clips. So that's something to consider. And then the biggest thing is it does use a predefined motion region. And perfect example that I have for this is oftentimes we go to upgrade people's Ring cameras that they have at their house, and they have a camera on the front of their garage, but if the camera actually saw the street, every single time a car drove by, it would trip and it would record a clip, and they would burn through their cloud-based storage very rapidly. So they define that region as their driveway. Okay, that's a great thing, right up until the point that something happens across the street. We've had issues of shootings. We've had multiple issues of cars being vandalized, broken into, and they go across the street to their neighbor who they think has a working camera, which they do technically, but their camera is not recording what's going on across the street all the time. So that's where a digital solution, with cameras recording continuously to a hard drive, are able to add a lot of value and add a lot of security to people. So this is just a quick slide on the difference between the analog technology. The main thing is zooming in when you're trying to get any sort of detail, facial details, license plate details. The higher the resolution of the camera, the better you're going to get. Okay, so a nice thing that has happened, exciting thing, very, very much so, that has happened is what we call the AI revolution in security in cameras. And we've basically been able the industry has been able to pivot from being a reactive technology, meaning something happens at your business, you go back and you look at the tape to see if you had anything recorded, and you're keeping your fingers crossed that the tape, number one, was working. Number two, the cameras were clean. Number three, that it actually recorded the area that you were supposed to get, and that the lighting was decent enough for you to pick something up that you can actually utilize. Okay. Through AI and what we call video analytics, we've now transitioned to a proactive technology. So we're able to recognize things such as people, vehicles, animals, specific color of clothing, vehicle types. I mean, I always tell my customers, you're really only limited by your budget and your imagination, because facial recognition, like the lieutenant had mentioned, license plate readers. There's all sorts of amazing technologies out there that you can get, and the great news is they are becoming more and more affordable as time goes on, and that technology becomes more accepted in the community. The more it gets out there, the less expensive it seems to get, which is great. And we have clients where we can basically take, and if they have a disgruntled employee, we have license plate cameras at the entrance and exits of their location. We can put on a blacklist the license plate of an employee that's not authorized to be there, and as soon as they come on property, before they even get out of the vehicle, it's firing off a workflow alert to alert their security guards and their management team and stuff like that. So a lot of great things going on, and I tell you, I always tell my salespeople and my technicians, when you think you have it all figured out, you're wrong, because there's constant stuff coming out every day with this, as we can see in just the AI. AI as just in all the marketplace with Apple Intelligence and all that kind of stuff. That it's literally growing exponentially, and it's the same thing in the video industry, where we're able to really take that and make it valuable. So just a quick little still image here. You can see there's a dot camera on one side. There's no one there, and then you can see video analytics puts that little green box around that person there. So I do have a very brief video here. Let me see. I don't know if it'll let me go full screen on this, but I'll just press play. This is a 40-second video. And this was a school that we monitor for Los Banos School District. And you can see the school is closed. It's on a Sunday. These people are not authorized to be there, but you can see the analytics picking them up, and it's putting the box around them, and it starts notifying our call center. Our call center validates that, hey, yes, there are people there. They're not supposed to be there. We've alerted the authorities. There's Los Banos finest coming in. You can see them kind of tracking around the school, and they're looking for, whatever it is they're looking for. And so we've got the multiple cameras there, and you can actually see how the police come up and ultimately are able to know exactly what those people look like. They can follow it in real time. We follow it in real time, and then ultimately they're caught and they're apprehended on trespassing and whatever other charges that specific incident was able to get. So I just wanted to include that. And then just where to go from here. Definitely ask more about the rebate program. That's a fantastic program that the chamber has in terms of getting a jump start on putting in your security system, your security cameras. And we can certainly help you with that, as I'm sure Jason can as well. Again, just something is better than nothing. And if there's anything we can do to help, just let us know.
That's wonderful. That video was pretty amazing to be able to see and catch that before something could happen. So, a couple questions. What would be a current process for employee onboarding and offboarding regarding system access? And obviously, how often do you actually check that?
Okay, your employees for a
So on how to act, like, so for an employee of a business,
uh-huh.
how do you onboard them on accessing the system, and maybe some tips for owners of the business on who gets access?
Sure. So yeah, we have three full-time IT people that basically do all of our onboarding for that. They'll work with the customer. Obviously we try to get as many of people that are going to have access. It depends on the size of the business, of course. If I'm working with a school district on one hand versus a small 2 or 3 person operation. Like Lieutenant had mentioned earlier, it's definitely better to have more people that you trust in positions of trust that have access to that, rather than just one person. Again, if that one person is out for a prolonged period of time, they might be on vacation, they might be in another country. And if they're the only ones that have access and something happens, it's not a good thing. So it is a very quick thing nowadays. The technology, when it comes to the app control, you can assign different user levels to where you can have somebody that only has view access. They're not able to, alter anything or do different things. They have access only, as well as, going all the way up to somebody who has complete full system admin access. So really the best thing to do is just sit down with that business and find out exactly who they have and in what different positions and what would make the most sense. But it's a very quick thing to learn. Everybody has a smartphone nowadays. That same technology can be accessed from any tablet, any web browser, PC, laptop, Mac, whatever it works. So we're back in the day that could have been very segmented. Now it's very easy to access from a multitude of devices.
Wonderful. And when it comes to interior and exterior cameras, can they be run on a same system? Do they have to be separate systems? How do you do that for cameras interior of a business as opposed to outside?
Yeah, so we basically determine the size of the recording device in terms of how many channels of video you're able to record, and then of course how much storage that you want. But yes, you can certainly we put interior and exterior cameras on the same box all the time. It's nice because you can then, like the lieutenant had showed earlier, you just basically swipe from side to side, and you can see the inside image and the outside image. And it makes it very easy. You can certainly have it up in a grid similar to the way we are on Zoom right now. But you can also full screen that and just literally swipe through all your cameras to be able to see if there's anything that's going on, and if there is somebody in your premises, you can watch them move around through the inside, through the exterior. So yes, we certainly put all those on the same box.
Great. Well, David, thank you. We appreciate that. Visuals are always good. You can really get an idea of the difference in the different camera technology for sure.
Yeah. Well, I apologize for the black and whiteness of my slides. I didn't have time to get them all doctored up, but I figured the content was more important than the fancy presentation. So
absolutely.
Glad to be of help.
Yeah. Okay. And as our cleanup here, Jason Guile from CIS Security and Guile Enterprises, go ahead and take it from here.
Yeah, thank you. We've been in the Fresno area since 1986 doing business as CIS Security. We added the alarm company in 2002 and really have been excited about the technology and being able to catch people is kind of a funny way of saying it, but the push notifications that have come into effect here in the last probably 5 years with cameras have really helped us to not only have a personnel side where we're watching a building, but you can't be on a 700-acre property with one officer and see what's going on in the maintenance shed in the back. And so as Dave knows, putting these in, the element of a guard company or an alarm company being able to say, you have a crime in progress right now is so much more encouraging for a security provider, because it used to just be, hey, we'll see what the tape looked like yesterday to see what happened. With that in mind, I'm happy that the city and the police department is rolling this out for people to have an entry point, at least to purchase technology for their small businesses. And that's really, I'm not going to repeat. Dave had a great presentation today on kind of the history of cameras, and whether you're a do-it-yourself or you want to go through a security provider, really depends on the appetite you want into managing your own cameras and where those notifications go. And if you want to be woken up at 2 in the morning as opposed to Dave's Central Station or ours at Valley Alarm, it's really up to you, and it's up to the cost kind of limits that you're at as well when it comes to monitoring. But every small business, really what I wanted to leave today, and then if there's questions on a technical level, Ross, who's with me today, manages the guarding with the cameras, and of course all of us have burglar alarms and things, access control, but every small business needs to know and have a line item for security now. It's just part of business, whether you're retail or office. Just have a mindset of budgeting for it. Cameras, even if we sold you a system today, 3 to 5 years later, you're going to need some money in a bucket somewhere to say, hey, a camera went down, I have to spend X dollars to get that replaced. So just have that in your mindset. It's just like any other line item on your budget. Make sure you have some money put in there, and that's where your designers can help you with that as well. Like, hey, wow, is this a 5-year camera or is this a 3-year camera? And we can work with you on that on the timelines too. And then really I like to say a month storage. I think a week storage is probably minimum, according to what the lieutenant said. But we have some customers that literally want a year's worth of storage. And that's where you start getting into terabytes of storage and things of that nature. But just think about that. Really ask the question, how long would it take me to know about an incident happening, and how long should I have those images saved? And that's where, again, your designers can really help you out with that, depending upon what type of a business it is. And so I will hand it over to Ross to do a quick intro, and then we'll answer any questions that you have as well.
Thanks, Jason. Again, my name's Ross Rona. I have kind of a unique job to where I work for both of our divisions on the guard end. You might see our black and green patrol cars around downtown or just in the Fresno area in general, and also on the alarm end with Valley Security and Alarm. And my job is kind of to help bridge those two areas together and offer solutions to our clients rather than just being strictly on one end, or one on the technology one end or one on the personnel end. Because with today's environment, as we know, the cost for people is just more expensive, and to augment that with technology, and that's where that comes in. As Dave was saying, AI is a huge component of the new systems that are getting add a lot of features to our clients depending on what they're looking for. And what he was saying was, it's kind of the sky's the limit. There's a lot of options out there. Does anybody have any questions for me?
So I guess my question is, maybe if you could expand. I know we've talked a little bit about AI, but because it is such a hot topic right now, is there any way or just any other features that maybe AI is being used through the security camera systems?
Well, Dave was talking about you can do LPR technology to where it'll pick up specific license plates that are entering or exiting your property. You can have it flag specific vehicles, or even facial recognition. So if you want to say, hey, I want a notification if this person comes in, or if you want to look and say, hey, this person, I want to see if this person's been in my facility. A lot of times you can upload a picture to that database and it'll search your entire NVR to see if that person's been on your property. So it has some really cool things.
Are you finding that businesses are taking advantage, and that could be for you or David, either one of you? Are you finding that businesses are taking advantage of that technology?
Yeah, and two, I think it really helps the police department do their job too, because if you're saying, hey, I want to come by and hey, this person has cameras, and if you have a license plate or a person, or you can say, hey, I want to see white Silverados that entered through the area. It can sometimes get, depending on lighting and things like that, it can get that granular if you want it to. Not necessarily just to solve crime in your business, but outside of it as well.
Sounds good. Lieutenant Baez, you want to comment?
I just wanted to put the point out there that we don't use facial recognition in our video policing real-time center. We don't use facial recognition.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I did have another question here for you all, and anybody from CIS, feel free to share. What role does CIS security play in emergency situations? And Lieutenant Baez, if you want to touch on this as well, what is the role of security as opposed to the law enforcement?
Well, I mean, we're an observe and report company. We're unarmed. And so our job is to get the best information to PD and let the experts handle, especially violent situations, domestic, so forth. But we have our central station works very similarly to the dispatch center would for law enforcement. They are on the phone with our officer, getting information to call PD or sheriff to say, here's what's going on, here's the description. And let's say the person's on foot, he went north. And to get really as good information as we can for law enforcement to handle it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yes, from our end, that is the best thing. Observe and report from any type of security professional that's out there, as accurate as possible, with as much information and detail as possible. That way it assists officers who are responding to calls of an emergency nature. If they see, it's not uncommon for us to see suspects going the other direction when we're traveling to the call. But if we have that good, detailed information, it assists greatly in locating individuals responsible for direct reported crimes through a security company.
Okay.
I wanted to say one other thing, Gina, about AI.
Yeah.
That is also, if you're able to save more of these images that are coming in through your systems, AI really helps also in searchability. Red pickup truck. It'll search the entire, if you have 30 days, it'll give you 30 days of data where that red pickup truck was on property. So the ability to really navigate what you've been saving is so much easier today as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one thing, Jason, you were talking about earlier, maybe you could maybe share a little bit more ongoing costs for businesses when it comes to security, budgeting, obviously the hardware, but what should they be looking at ongoing costs when it comes to a security system?
So depending what their system is today, let's say you buy a system and it's $5,000 or $10,000 for it. I'm saying between 3 and 5 years, that cameras, they're electronics, right? We have things at home that go out. We buy TVs every maybe 5 years. Just start looking at it like that. So if that camera costs you to install it, it costs $750. It costs whatever it costs to install that piece of equipment. Just know in your mind, like 3 years from now, I just want to have a mental note. I may need to replace that. And then maybe a year after that, another one, if it's a 5-year system. So I would just look at, if it's 20 cameras, 30 cameras, we have some large installations. They just need to put a percentage of dollars towards that 3 years from now. Also, we always recommend, like, technicians come out, make sure it's actually recording. There are times where you see on a screen that the system is up and running to your mind, but you're not even seeing if it's recording. Remember, it's electronics. Not everything is perfect with these systems. And so we really encourage maybe a once-a-year check-in from technicians. Come out, make sure a tree hasn't grown up in front of a camera, or make sure we need to clean them if there's, dirty spider webs, just things that you just don't know are going to happen. Once you put it in, a lot of people will just stop and think, good, I'm good from now. No, there's probably an annual visit that you should have. Also, that tech can show if it's an apartment complex, they can show the new community manager, how do you pull footage? How do you access footage? And just do a kind of a retraining too. It's something, I'm not a techie guy myself. So I literally will come in and talk to my guys here and go, how do I do that again? It's just a good habit to get in, to check in with your team and your professionals to help you make sure that you are recording and you know where to access footage when you need it. Because I'm sure PD runs into that a lot. Like, hey, can you pull that footage? I have no idea how to do it, from the customer side.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. I like the maintenance and we have a new technology partner who've installed about 70 new cameras, and our analyst here checks them every day. You'd be surprised how many times they're up and down, and we're letting that company know. So I think it's a great idea to continue to monitor your systems and make sure that they're working correctly.
Wonderful. Well, that looks like that is a lot of our questions there. For our panelists, is there any closing comments that you would like to make before we close this out? Anything that maybe you missed?
I know. I'm just going to encourage everybody to put whatever is appropriate in your budget to make sure you have the money available, so it's not a stressful white knuckle experience to meet with Dave or Ross or whomever if they say it's a $5,000 system or up. Like I said, we deal with large installations, so it's a part of, if the mindset is it's just a part of doing business now. I think that'll help people get through the initial emotion. Now, I did say there's a do-it-yourself element to it, but that just will be more on your shoulders. And I don't know if, and you can talk to this Lieutenant, on how to access that footage, if it's as easy or not. I just know on our side, it's a little bit easier to access the footage and to get it to law enforcement when they need it.
Yeah, not to speak directly on either way or another, because I know obviously one's more affordable, but professional installation, security, as far as knowing that the wire may not have been clipped and it's not working, I encourage people to work within their budget. And if they can only have a security company or cover a few locations, I just implore that they do the ones that I spoke of earlier. So detectives have access should something happen in their business. And signage is important. If it's being monitored, let people know. I think it's important that you let people know that there's some sort of monitoring occurring at that location. Because like I said, they may think twice, turn around and go somewhere else.
Good point. Okay, well, I think that is going to kind of wrap it up for us. We appreciate all of you sharing your expertise. I mean, just some great information for our business owners. And as we kind of close talking about budget, please, I just want to remind you that the Fresno Chamber is offering up to a $2,000 camera rebate. And you will find that information on our website under resources on how to apply. It's been really exciting to be able to partner with businesses in our community to get this money out to them and help them as they really try to help their security. To Noble Credit Union, thank you so much for your continued partnership and Daryl taking the time to be on this call. Again, it was recorded, so any of you can access this again on our website. So we appreciate that partnership with you. And lastly, put on your calendars November 21st. That will be our final SBU of the year, and it will be partnering with the city of Fresno, some ideas on economic development ideas through the city of Fresno for small businesses. So with that, we thank you all for your time, for joining, for your expertise, and we hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining.